If this video reached you at this exact moment, know that it's not by chance. You're in the right place at the right time to finally make your life take off for real. And when I say take off, I'm not talking about superficial or temporary changes. I'm talking about a deep and lasting transformation that will impact every area of your existence. The message I'm going to share with you today is the cherry on top, the final secret for those who truly want to prosper in all dimensions of life. And pay close attention when I say all areas, because here lies one of the biggest mistakes people make on the path of self-knowledge and conscious reality creation. When I mention prosperity, I'm not talking only, or even primarily, about the financial aspect of things. Not at all. Many people reduce prosperity to money, bank accounts, material possessions. And of course, that's part of it. It's important. Yes, no one here is denying the importance of having financial resources. But true prosperity is much, much greater than that. To prosper, in its deepest essence, means to grow, expand, advance, evolve. And all areas of your life need to go through this process of continuous growth. Your physical health needs to prosper. Your body was made to be strong, vital, full of energy. Your mental and emotional health needs to prosper. Your mind was created to be clear, focused, positive. Your relationships need to prosper. Your connections with other people should be sources of joy, mutual growth, genuine support. Your spirituality needs to prosper. Your connection with something greater than yourself, whatever you call it, God, universe, energy, source, creator, this connection needs to be strong, present, alive. Your career and finances need to prosper. Your work should be a source of fulfillment and material abundance. Your personal projects need to prosper. Those dreams kept deep in your heart deserve to become reality. All of this needs to grow together, in harmony, because that's exactly how the Creator planned it to be. And you don't even need to believe my word. Just observe how absolutely everything that exists in nature is in a constant process of prosperity, growth, expansion. Think about a river, for example. A river is not a big stagnant pool without movement. No, a river is in constant flow, always moving. It prospers toward the sea, seeks the ocean with a determination that never stops. No matter how many rocks it encounters along the way, how many curves it needs to make, it keeps flowing, always in the same direction, always seeking its final destination. Or observe a seed. That tiny little seed that fits in the palm of your hand wasn't made to stay small forever. It prospers toward one day becoming a gigantic, majestic tree, capable of giving shade, fruits, shelter for birds. All the potential of that immense tree is already contained in that apparently insignificant little seed, and it will grow. It's its natural destiny. Or think about a newborn baby. That fragile little creature, completely dependent on others to survive, it naturally prospers toward growth and maturation. It will learn to sit, crawl, walk, run, talk, think, create. It's automatic, it's natural, it's inevitable if you don't interfere negatively in the process. Absolutely everything in our world, everything that exists on this planet, was created, designed, programmed to prosper. Plants prosper. Animals prosper. The seasons prosper in cycles. The universe itself is in constant expansion, prospering since the Big Bang. And with you, a human being created in the image and likeness of the Creator, endowed with consciousness and free will, it wouldn't be different. In fact, your capacity to prosper is even greater, because you can consciously choose the direction of your growth. However, and here begins the crucial part of this message, as I am a content creator about self-knowledge, law of attraction, and conscious reality creation for over 10 years, having taught tens of thousands of people around the world, I can affirm with absolute certainty that the doubt, the complaint, The frustration that reaches me most is always the same, expressed in different ways but with the same essence. People write to me saying, "Mabel, I've already taken several courses from different teachers. I've watched hundreds of YouTube videos about the law of attraction. I read books on the subject. I meditate every day, sometimes even twice a day. I do gratitude. I have my gratitude journal that I fill out religiously. I visualize. I affirm. I decree. But honestly, my life simply doesn't flow. It remains stuck, stopped, stagnant. What am I doing wrong?" This is by far the most frequent question I receive. And you know what the fundamental problem is behind all this frustration? People think mistakenly that raising personal vibration is a purely mental process, exclusively mental. They believe that you just need to work the mind, reprogram thoughts, change beliefs, and voila, everything is magically created. Reality transforms itself without anything else needing to be done. However, and here's the crucial error that prevents most people from truly prospering, a human being's personal vibration is not solely the result of the thinking mind's functioning. It's not just what you think that determines what you create and manifest in your life. Is the mind important? Of course it is. But it's just one part of the equation, just one of the factors involved. Your personal vibration, that energetic frequency you emit to the universe, and that attracts back corresponding experiences, is actually a sum of 4 fundamental factors, 4 pillars that I call Sekka. And this is probably one of the most important pieces of knowledge you'll receive in your entire life about how to really create the reality you desire. What are these 4 pillars of Sekka? Pay close attention, because this is where real transformation begins. The first pillar is your beliefs. Everything you believe to be true about yourself, about the world, about how things work. The second pillar is your emotions, the feelings you habitually cultivate, the emotional states you live in your daily life. The third pillar is your communication, both the way you communicate with yourself, internal dialogue, and the way you communicate with other people and with the universe. And the fourth pillar, perhaps the most important of all and certainly the most neglected, is your actions, what you actually do, the behaviors you adopt, the practical choices you make every day. Beliefs, emotions, communication, and action. See ya. These 4 pillars working together, harmoniously and aligned, are what determine your real personal vibration. And consequently, they're what determine the results you get in life. And here's the part that most people in the self-knowledge world simply don't understand or prefer to ignore. Because it requires work. One of the most important, most determining pillars for you to really have positive, concrete, measurable results in your life, in your process of prospering in all areas, is precisely the pillar of action, of doing, of executing, of putting into practice. Raising vibration is not just worrying about working your beliefs mentally. Of course, working on beliefs is extremely important. I'm not minimizing this. If your beliefs are limiting, if you believe you don't deserve, that you're not capable, that the world is a hostile place, that opportunities are limited, you will inevitably create limits in your life. That's a fact. So yes, reprogramming limiting beliefs and installing empowering beliefs is fundamental. But listen well to what I'm going to tell you now. At the end of the day, going through the identification and change of your limiting beliefs, going through the work of controlling and directing your emotions by developing emotional intelligence, going through the improvement of your communication with yourself, with life, with all people around you, all this culminates, all this necessarily flows into the last element of Sekka, which is action, concrete acting, real doing in the physical world. And this is exactly where I ask you a question that you need to answer with total honesty, without deceiving yourself, without deluding yourself. What do you do in practice, in your concrete daily life, to increase your personal vibration? I'm not asking what you think about doing, what you'd like to do, what you plan to do someday. I'm asking what you do. In fact, today, Now, regularly. What specific and concrete action do you perform daily, with consistency, with discipline, toward the results you say you desire? How exactly do you take care of your vibration in the practical aspect of your actions, your real behavior, your daily choices? Because, you see, the results we have in life don't depend only on what we think or feel. They depend fundamentally, primarily, on the way we behave, the practical choices we make, the actions we take or fail to take. It's absolutely no use you thinking, and this is pure magical thinking disconnected from reality, that you thought about something positive, visualized something good, and automatically you created it. Done. Finished. It's made. Look, this is true in a certain sense, but only at a very high level of consciousness expansion, at a level of spiritual mastery that frankly is not what most people looking for this type of work, this type of knowledge, have achieved yet. Is it possible to create through pure thought without the need for physical action? Certainly, but you need to be at a level of consciousness where your thoughts are absolutely pure, focused, without internal contradictions, without sabotaging limiting beliefs operating in the subconscious. And I'll tell you, with all respect, that if you're watching this video looking for answers about why your life isn't flowing, you're probably not at that level yet. And that's okay, most of us aren't. Therefore, for beginners on the path of conscious creation, for neophytes, for novices who are still learning how this whole process works in practice, we must, we are obliged to work on concrete actions. There's no escape, there's no shortcut, there's no magic trick that exempts you from acting in the real world. Do you understand where I'm going with all this? It's no use, it doesn't work, it doesn't produce results for you to keep listening to sound frequencies while you sleep, making thousands of positive affirmations in the morning, creating beautiful vision boards on Pinterest, participating in dozens of guided meditations. If you don't go to the field of practice, if you don't put your body in motion, if you don't take concrete actions in the physical world. And I'll tell you something even more serious, even more concerning. Knowledge without practice, without corresponding action, without real application, it doesn't stay neutral inside you. It's not that it simply doesn't work and that's it. It's worse than that. Knowledge without practice intoxicates the person. It intoxicates mentally, emotionally, energetically. The person becomes bloated with knowledge, stuffed with information, but their vital energy starts to become stagnant because they're constantly receiving, absorbing, accumulating, but never expressing, never manifesting, never putting it out through action. It's very important to understand that the universe works in flow, in constant movement of input and output, of receiving and giving, of absorbing and expressing. You can't just keep inputting information, inputting knowledge, inputting energy, and never do anything with it. It doesn't work like that. You need to create flow. Input and output. Learn and apply. Receive and give. Absorb and express. This is the natural movement of everything that is healthy and prosperous in the universe. So stop for a moment and be brutally honest with yourself. If you're eating poorly every day, filling your body with food that takes away your energy instead of giving energy, having admittedly destructive habits like smoking, drinking excessively, staying up late, scrolling through your phone feed instead of sleeping adequately, if you don't know how to communicate persuasively and clearly with other people, self-sabotaging in relationships and professional opportunities, if you don't put your plans into practice, don't execute the projects you say you want to accomplish, what exactly do you think is going to happen? No matter how much you meditate, no matter how much you repeat positive affirmations, no matter how much you try to raise your vibration mentally, nothing will truly change. Everything will remain stagnant. Energy won't flow. Results won't appear. Why? Because your actions, your real behaviors, are completely misaligned with the frequency you say you want to achieve, with the results you say you want to manifest. Your actions have to be perfectly aligned with the vibrational frequency you desire to emit. Your behaviors need to be coherent with the goals you've established for yourself. And here's something I almost never see people in the self-knowledge world talk about, because it seems too mundane, too basic, too obvious. But it's absolutely essential. You need to exercise your physical body regularly. Your body is the vehicle of your consciousness in this plane of existence. If it's weak, sick, without energy, without vitality, how do you expect to have energy to act, to create, to manifest? You need to come back from work no matter how tired you are, take a shower, and start working on your plan B, your side project, your dream that hasn't become reality yet. You need to eat well, putting quality fuel in your body. You need to sleep well, respecting the natural cycles of your organism. Nobody talks about these apparently mundane things, but they are absolutely fundamental. There are concrete actions that raise or lower your vibration in a very real and measurable way. Then the person takes literally 100 different courses, reads absolutely all the self-help books they can find, accumulates gigabytes of videos saved to watch later, and just keeps mentalizing, just visualizing, just imagining, sincerely thinking that reality will simply collapse right in front of them, that things will materialize magically without the need for action. The person mentalizes a new house, puts their hand in their pocket, and expects the house key to be there. Mentalizes a car, goes down to the garage, and expects the car to be parked there. It doesn't work like that in this plane of existence. It doesn't. It can work like that in another dimensional plane where the speed of creation is compatible, is equivalent, is equal to the speed of thought and mind, where thinking and creating are simultaneous. But not here, not in this specific place where we are incarnated now. Here there is a delay, a time lag, between imagining, mentalizing, desiring, and co-creating, manifesting, materializing. And this happens precisely because of our current level of consciousness as humanity. It's that simple. More expanded consciousnesses create faster, with less interval between intention and manifestation. More restricted, more limited, denser consciousnesses create more slowly, with greater interval between thought and materialization. And the vast majority of us are still in the second group, whether we like it or not. It's been literally years and years that I and other teachers have been spreading extremely powerful and transformative knowledge, which is the law of attraction, the principles of quantum mechanics that explain in theory how this reality creation process works, working with archetypes, the immense power of mental reprogramming, the concept of personal vibration and energetic frequency, years explaining, demonstrating, proving that your mind is incredibly powerful, that your thoughts create your reality, that if you identify and clear the limiting beliefs from your life, everything starts to flow much better. We teach that you need to, you must, you have to leave the comfort zone, that familiar little life that doesn't take you anywhere. But it seems, and this is frustrating to observe, that some people take this liberating knowledge and use it as a validation discourse for their own laziness, for their own inertia. They think, so I don't need to do anything different, I don't need to work hard, I don't need to make an effort, I just need to think positive and collapse the quantum wave function, and everything will appear. In other words, the person's limiting belief is so deeply programmed, so rooted in the subconscious, that they take knowledge that was supposed to be totally liberating, that was supposed to propel them to action, and use it to trap themselves even more, to limit themselves even more, to justify their own inaction. This, my friends, is lack of real perception of what reality is. It's lack of discernment. It's lack of spiritual maturity. Many people simply love magical thinking, love the idea that they can have everything without doing anything, and then this person becomes exactly that figure full of theoretical knowledge, but whose life remains completely stagnant, totally stopped, without any movement. I receive many emails, many messages, many communications from people saying, "Gosh, Mabel, I perfectly understand what you explain in your videos. I do exactly what you teach, at least I think I do. I took other courses too with other renowned teachers. But honestly, my life remains stopped. Where's the problem? Is the problem in the knowledge I'm receiving or in my understanding of what should be done with this knowledge? And the answer, in the vast majority of cases, is the second option. The knowledge is correct, the principles are right, the techniques work, but the understanding of how to apply, what action to take, what to do concretely, this understanding is missing or is distorted. If you genuinely want to prosper, if this is a real desire and not just a passing thought, you need to learn a fundamental great lesson from nature, which is the law of movement. The first Hermetic law, engraved on the emerald tablets since immemorial times, says exactly this: nothing is at rest, everything moves, everything vibrates. This is not just a beautiful, poetic, philosophical phrase. It's a precise description of how the universe works at its most fundamental level. All of nature is in constant movement, in perpetual transformation, in eternal evolution. Everything that doesn't participate in this natural movement, everything that becomes stagnant, static, stopped, inevitably dies, rots, ceases to exist, because life itself is movement. Life is flow. Life is change. Life is constant transformation. So going back to the CCA concept, to these four fundamental pillars, beliefs, emotions, communication, and action, you need to move each of them consciously and constantly. You need to move your beliefs, that is, be in a continuous process of self-observing first, practicing real self-knowledge, then honestly self-evaluating without deceiving yourself, and then reprogramming your limiting beliefs, replacing them with empowering beliefs. This is not something you do once and done. It's a continuous process, a daily practice. You need to move, cultivate, and nurture good emotions within yourself. If you are habitually an irritated person, angry, full of resentments, constantly worried, extremely anxious, without being able to relax, what exactly do you think you're going to create in your life? You're going to create more situations that generate these same negative emotions. There won't be flow in you. Energy will be trapped, blocked, stagnant. You need to move your communication, that is, communicate more and better. Train this skill. Become skilled in communication, both with other people and with yourself, in internal dialogue, and especially with the universe, with that wiser part of you that we can call higher self, divine essence, sacred spark, soul, whatever you prefer to name it. And finally, without concrete action, without real movement in the physical world, without tangible results. That's the math. That's the equation. That's the formula. There's no way to escape it. There's no way to fool the system. And here's something extremely important that you need to understand deeply. The functioning of this universe we live in is fundamentally karmic. Have you heard of karma? Probably yes, but you may not really know what it means. The word karma, coming from ancient Sanskrit, literally means action. It doesn't mean destiny. It doesn't mean punishment. It doesn't mean something fixed and unchangeable. It simply means action. All of life is a constant, perpetual, incessant construction of karma. And this karma can be positive or negative, favorable or unfavorable, depending fundamentally on the quality of the action done. It's action, always action, that determines your karma. And the coolest, most liberating, most hopeful thing about this ancient knowledge is that it doesn't matter, absolutely doesn't matter, everything you've done until this moment, all the choices you made, all the mistakes you committed. It doesn't matter if you've predominantly performed positive or negative actions until now. You are indeed reaping the result, the consequences of those past actions in this present moment. That's true, but at the same time, simultaneously, you are constantly acting now in the present moment, creating new karma. And through this new present action, through these new choices you make now, today, at this instant, you can indeed build a completely new reality. You can radically change your future karma. Nothing is fixed. Nothing is written in stone. Nothing is unchangeable. Everything can be transformed through conscious action in the present. So we urgently need to start accessing a new dimension, a new level of understanding about reality creation. You need to learn to go beyond basic knowledge, beyond the superficial techniques that everyone already knows. It has been exhaustively talked about the mind. The great majority of people nowadays have already understood, at least intellectually, that the mind has creative power, that our thoughts shape our reality. I sincerely hope so, that you've already understood this, although many people understand this theoretically. But when they create something, when they materialize an unexpected, unsatisfactory, undesired reality for themselves, they immediately place themselves as victims of the world, victims of circumstances, victims of other people. They can't, don't want to, or don't know how to perceive that that specific result they obtained and didn't like was born precisely from their own mind, their own vibration, their own subconscious beliefs operating backstage. It's difficult to accept this total responsibility, I know, but it's necessary. Now, having understood the power of the mind, it's absolutely necessary, it's urgent, it's fundamental to work on karma. Work on the action you take every single day, what you do every day with consistency, especially in matters of great importance to you. You act. This action inevitably generates a reaction. You can categorize it as positive or negative, good or bad, favorable or unfavorable, but the inescapable fact is that everything is born in action. Everything starts with something you do or fail to do. And who acts? You, a conscious being, endowed with free will, capable of choosing. And I need to tell you something very important. Not acting is also an action, is also a choice. Omission, inertia, procrastination, all of this is also a form of action and also generates karma, also generates consequences. You don't escape consequences by doing nothing. The consequence of doing nothing is that nothing changes. The more negative your current situation is, the worse things are in your life at this moment, the more action you need to take. Inspired action, I always emphasize this, is not desperately kicking in all directions. It's not doing just anything randomly just to say you're doing something. You need to inspire yourself. You need to receive genuine inspiration. And it comes when you quiet your mind, when you make this contact with your inner wisdom through meditation, contemplation, deep reflection, and then you act based on this inspiration. You act aligned with your intuition, with your inner voice, with your essence. So it's not desperation. It's not doing just anything haphazardly. It's inspired, directed, intentional, aligned action. Then you can tell me, and I've heard this 1,000 times, Mabel, but I am acting. I'm working a lot. I work 10, 12 hours a day. I make an effort. I dedicate myself. I give my blood. But I don't have positive results yet. I don't see change. I don't see progress. Why does this happen to me? And the answer is this. Because it's not enough just to act for the sake of acting. It's not enough just to be busy, to be occupied, to always be doing something. You need to act in the right direction. You need to have an absolutely clear purpose in your mind and heart. Where exactly do I want to get to? What are the specific steps that will take me there? You need to have a strategy, a plan, a roadmap. And it's exactly what I just explained about inspired action. You have to act inspired. Inspired by whom? By the information, the guidance, the wisdom that your own essence, your higher self, constantly provides you. And this essence of yours is infinitely wiser than the thinking ego, than the limited rational mind. It knows things you consciously don't know. It sees the complete picture you can't see. It knows the best path you don't imagine. But you need to give space for it to communicate with you. You need to create this communication channel. Look at communication there, third pillar of CCA. You need to calm the chattering mind. You need to meditate regularly. Create these moments of inner silence. You need to drastically decrease this constant mental noise, this incessant internal chatter. Here, look, scrolling through social media feed incessantly, jumping from video to video, from post to post, never stopping. When are you going to create space to talk with that wiser part of you that knows everything about you, that knows your purpose, that knows what's genuinely best for you? When exactly are you going to give this chance for your essence to manifest, to express itself, to guide you? You can be acting, making an effort, working hard 12 hours a day at a job that doesn't value you at all, that drains you energetically and emotionally, and that has no real prospect of growth or improvement. Then you're spending, wasting, exhausting all this precious energy, all this vital force, with an action that doesn't benefit you, that doesn't take you where you want to go, that isn't aligned with your life purpose. And now I'm going to teach you what I said at the beginning of this video, the cherry on top of conscious reality creation. Whoever deeply understands and consistently applies what I'm explaining here inevitably prospers. It's impossible not to prosper by applying this. And this is normally closed, secret, guarded knowledge that I could very easily charge very high values for in exclusive courses. But I made the conscious decision to leave it here for free on YouTube, as a donation, as a gift, so that the greatest possible number of people have access and can prosper once and for all. The knowledge is relatively simple in its essence, and I've already given you the fundamental basis of what it is. It's Eka. Let me recap to fix it well. Your personal vibration, what you constantly emanate to the world, to the universe, is the set, the sum, the integration of the vibration of your beliefs, your emotions, your communication, and your actions, your real behavior. Is that clear? Very well. This concretely means that you have an obligation to work on each of these 4 areas of your life consciously, intentionally, and constantly. If you really, genuinely want to prosper in all dimensions of existence, it's the complete set of the work. It's like a symphonic orchestra. It's not made of just one instrument playing alone. What gives the sublime beauty, the emotional depth of an orchestral piece, is precisely the harmonic set of all instruments playing in perfect synchronicity. But there is a hidden factor in Seika, a secret element that most people don't perceive, and which is absolutely crucial. This hidden factor is purpose. It's no use you diligently reprogramming your limiting beliefs if you don't know with absolute clarity which empowering beliefs you need to install in their place. It's no use you trying to balance and control your emotions if you don't have something genuinely good, inspiring, passionate to focus on emotionally. It's no use you working intensely on your communication if you don't know exactly where you want to get to with it, what message you want to transmit. And it's also no use you acting compulsively if you don't know why you're acting, what you're making an effort for, where you want to get to with all this. Purpose is the compass that should orient, guide, direct your entire life. And the first mistaken idea, the first limiting belief that we urgently need to break, destroy, eliminate about purpose is that it necessarily needs to be something grandiose, something extraordinary, something globally important. Every time I give a class, a lecture, a workshop about discovering and living your life purpose, always, without exception, there's someone who raises their hand or writes in the chat saying, Mabel, but I don't have any notable special gift. I'm not brilliant at anything. I don't feel I have some great spiritual mission like saving the world or enlightening humanity. Fix this well in your mind now. Purpose is not, doesn't need to be, doesn't have to be something necessarily grandiose, spectacular, globally relevant. It's not something special, reserved only for geniuses, saints, or chosen ones. It's simply a directing objective of your life, a north, a focal point. For example, see how simple my purpose can be: to be closer to my daughters, my family, spend more quality time with the people I love. This is a very strong, very powerful, immense purpose in terms of impact on your life. It concretely means that all the actions you're going to perform from now on, all the choices you make, all the opportunities you evaluate, you're going to have to be thinking about this purpose. You'll naturally evaluate, does this action bring me closer to or distance me from my purpose? Does this job allow me to be closer to family or force me to stay away? And so your actions will naturally, organically bring you closer to this outlined objective. Want another example? It's an apparently ungrandiose example, but extremely profound in its personal meaning. My parents never managed to prosper financially, and I always had a life of many limitations, deprivations, and difficulties because of it. So my purpose is precisely to break this generational cycle of family scarcity and finally prosper, creating abundance for me and for future generations. Did you notice how it works? The purpose itself, when you verbalize it, is something apparently simple, direct, nothing spectacular. It's just a personal motto, a focal point, a directing objective to orient your life. Remember the beauty in the simplicity of a river's purpose. It just simply wants to reach the sea, find the ocean. What's extraordinarily grandiose about that in absolute terms? Absolutely nothing. It just wants to reach the ocean. Just that, nothing more elaborate. And at the same time, it's simple, it's extremely profound, meaningful, beautiful, and powerful, like every true purpose. So you don't need to take any expensive class, any extensive course, any prolonged therapy to discover your life purpose. You don't need a guru, a master, a mentor to tell you what it is. You just need to stop. Take a deep breath, quiet your mind, and answer honestly, without deceiving yourself, without repeating what others expect from you. These fundamental questions I ask you now. Where do you genuinely want to get to in your life? Why exactly do you want to prosper? For whom do you want to do this? For what greater purpose does this serve? If you can answer these questions with total honesty, from the bottom of your heart, without social masks, you will have discovered your defined, clear, sharp directing purpose. But then comes the crucial part that separates those who prosper from those who remain stagnant. You can't, you shouldn't, you don't have permission to forget this purpose even for a single second. It has to become a motto of your life, a declaration you repeat to yourself constantly. It's practically a sacred mantra. It needs to be present in your consciousness all the time, so that you never, ever, under any circumstances, forget where you're going, what your final destination is. If you know where you're going, if you have this absolute clarity of direction, that's the main thing. That's the foundation. You don't necessarily need to know exactly how to go, which specific path to follow, because there are infinite ways, multiple possible paths, to reach the same destination. If you have your purpose well-defined, crystalline, unbreakable, then you just need to progressively eliminate the limiting beliefs that still hinder the path. Put your emotions completely in favor of your objective, that is, fall deeply in love with your purpose, get emotional about it daily, consciously work on your communication with yourself, with other people, always with absolute clarity, with genuine persuasion, and also with the Creator, with the universe, with the Source. And you must mainly, fundamentally, obligatorily act. Take concrete actions, perform specific behaviors that bring you daily, consistently, closer to your declared purpose. If you do this, if you really apply complete CCA with clear purpose, you will prosper. It's inevitable, it's perfect math, an infallible equation. There's no way it can go wrong. There's no way it can't work. If you tried many times, tried with dedication, tried with sincerity, but still haven't gotten the results you want, it means only one of two things. Either you left some of these Sekka pillars aside, neglected some fundamental element, or you still don't truly know, with crystalline clarity, where you're going, what your real purpose is. Adjusting these two things, consciously working the 4 pillars and defining a clear purpose, you will prosper. It's not a question of maybe. It's not a question of luck. It's not a question of cosmic deservingness. It's a question of correctly applying the universal principles that govern reality creation. Now you have the complete knowledge. The cherry on top is served. What you're going to do with this determines everything. When you grasp the intricacies of true prosperity, you see that everything nature embodies, the relentless flow of rivers, the relentless growth of trees, and the robust evolution of beings, mirrors the boundless possibilities within you.